Good morning. Well, I just thought I'd give you a little tour of where we've gotten so far, and at least this summer, and how things progressed in the garden. It was an extremely hot summer. We had, well, not temperature-wise, we didn't break any records or anything like that, but it was a good 3-4 weeks of just like 40+ degree weather, which is, I don't know, over 100 sort of thing. So I had a lot of trouble keeping things alive, believe it or not. Even with all the water, I had stored 8,000 liters in the spring. We got lucky with a few thunderstorms, and I was managed to keep it watered pretty much for all of it. There was about a 3 or 4 day period where, unfortunately, I was too busy doing something in the house or renovations or whatever, and I didn't get to water it properly. Like, I wasn't really paying attention. So a few of the plants literally died just in those 3 or 4 days of not getting little drips. So yeah, I'll take you for a tour. We're in the fall now. Things are happening. Getting some leaves coming down mid-October, probably another week, or maybe even this weekend, close up the pool because the water temperature is not really getting over 20. So it's a bit cold for Sam to get into. And I'm going to do some work on some of the trees. I got to thin this guy out, this loquat tree who's starting to flower. So I'm never too sure if it's if the fruit comes in the spring from these flowers, or if it fruits twice. I don't remember. I'll have to pay attention to that next year. And then what I also have to do, the hedges, and they've got to decide. I'll show you some of the plants and some of the weird things they've been doing. And yeah, otherwise it's been except for some plants dying, it's been a good year for grass. And I'll show you that in a sec. And yeah, anyways, let's get a bit of work done, and I'll talk to you as I go through stuff. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's basically what this tree does, this loquat, is it gets really dense, so the light doesn't get through, and it causes a lot of bugs and little flies up there and stuff like that. So if I keep it just a bit thin, just by taking a little, on a post, a little cutter, and I kind of keep little holes in it, it keeps the bugs away from all the fruit, and it also allows a little bit of light to go through, which is just enough to get us grass growing underneath. It's done a lot better on the grass this year. Not perfect, but hopefully another season it will be good. Yeah, so in total, this will be full bloom for it right now. It's pretty cool. Tons and tons of little bees, which is great. These these Tritomus plants they've flowered just in the spring, but they have a really interesting little flower, kind of spiky thing, and they've grown massive. We've got 2 of them, and they're filling in really well. So I'm going to be moving some begonias and stuff like that, and keeping that in mind for planting next year. We have a lilac here. Lilac. We have a lilac here that's kind of re-establishing itself. If you look at it, it's hard to see with the sun, but The bottom of it is all filling out and starting to come up. So I'm hoping that what's happening, all the new growth is happening, and then hopefully next year, as the new growth gets a bit bigger, I can start cutting down the old and get it back into shape, because it's a bit rough. We've got 2 baby sage plants here with these pinky flowers. I don't know why, but for some reason they keep growing at a massive rate. I've not fertilized them this year. I did initially in the spring, but nothing excessive. It's just they're growing more than they're flowering. So if you can see on this guy, especially this one, his stems get so much bigger than the other one. I'm trying to have them the same size. It's not really working out that way. But a month ago, I cut them right back, like not right back, but you know, about half the size they are now. It's just they're growing so crazy. I don't know why. It's quite strange. We have some begonias back here. We have this lady slipper thing, which I forget what it's called. They've not done very well. They're just flowering now, and they should be flowering in, I think, June. If you look at this guy here, that's what the flowers look like. They had a really tough time this fall, or this spring and summer, because of the hot weather. Difference over here with these impatiens, they're just so much happier over in the shade. Crazy fuchsias. The heads on them, the flowers on them are just massive. We're really hoping these things keep growing and get to be kind of like a large plant. Be great, because that would fill in a good area. Jasmine plant here that hasn't done much. It used to be where the pool location was. I moved it over. It's kind of taken about 2 or 3 years just to kind of reestablish itself again. I'm hoping that it fills up this whole corner and we get those little yellow flowers on it more often. Because from what I remember, it flowered quite a lot, like almost all summer. Peonies here. They all do the same thing. So they get to a certain point in the summer, and about just the beginning of August, and they all kind of start dying out. No matter how much I water them or how much I fertilize them, they just kind of, I don't know if they're too happy and they've got a lifespan on them. But yeah, they all kind of just turn into sticks and die. So I don't know what's going on there, but if anyone knows, let me know. Our jasmine has finally started to pick up this year. We're starting to finally grow up this whole post. Yeah, hopefully it becomes a little more interesting next year. Hopefully that'll take over and start filling up around the arbor as well. This big old lilac that I moved, it was all the way around kind of the far side of the greenhouse. It's never done very well. It's kind of slowly dying back, and I'm slowly allowing the new growth to come through. It's probably such a huge shock for it. It was more in the shade before, but it's coming back this year. It was, you know, every year it loses a bunch and then it gets a bunch more. So hopefully it's reestablishing itself and will eventually fill in again, even though it's probably really old, because it used to be like 3 times the size of this. But anyways, fingers crossed we can keep it. So this tomato plant we didn't actually grow. What I've happened to notice is that growing out of a petunia, which is now dead under it because they don't seem to last very well here, I noticed little tomato leaves coming up, so I just left it, and this is what's happened to it. It's just a massive plant. Unfortunately, it started so late, like we didn't really get to see any flowers until around July or sort of August. But it grew all this much, and I did fertilize it, but it grew this much in about, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, maximum 3 months. So yeah, what I'm going to do is there's this one ripe tomato here that's kind of rotten. I'm going to basically plant it somewhere, just chuck it in a pot and see if it grows up next year. But yeah, I think what I did is, it must have last fall, there was like a rotten one or something. I just chucked it in this pile over here because we hadn't really been planting here, and it just sprouted up. So we got 1 or 2 free tomatoes out of it, but overall it was just a bit too late. I love my little strawberries back here. We've had a bit of a problem this year with little fruit flies. If anyone knows how to stop fruit flies, I don't know if you can see them. They're really tiny guys. They're buzzing everywhere, and they're eating all the strawberries. So, but it's been a really bumper crop this year. There's been tons and tons of them. I've just not had, because I've been so busy inside the house, I kind of missed picking them. So I don't know if I cut off all the stuff, all the fruit this year, it'll get rid of the flies. But anyways, we'll have to see what we can figure out for next year. If anyone has any tips on how to get rid of fruit flies, I mean, I understand how to do it in the house, but not outside. So yeah, we're hoping that one year I get the greenhouse going and these will be all really spread out and will be great, because I love strawberries and they're really good here. Our cypress trees are doing amazing. This guy I've been fertilizing. The other one I haven't, because he's almost a meter difference. He was a little smaller to begin with, and he was a little lower down. And so basically I've just decided to fertilize only him. I think I did one in the other one, but I'm trying to make this one grow faster. And so far he's grown, I would say, 1.5 feet this year. The other guy's also grown maybe a foot. So maybe in about 3 or 4 years they'll catch up. The issue is that when I was putting in all this piping work, he was kind of on the edge of a trench and he wasn't getting watered properly. So he's basically had a full year or so where he wasn't being properly taken care of. But he's doing well. Yeah, I've had to basically trim this oleander. I'm going to have to do more of it in order to allow the sun to come in and to allow that to get bigger. Once it gets bigger, it won't be as fussy. I'm just going to get another meter or two, probably work on that top part next summer and make sure he can grow straight up. The oleanders did really great this year. Created a lot of leaves, but they seem to be happy for the most part. So hopefully they do another good display next year. Some sort of daisy plant, I think they're African daisies. They've done well also. We're pretty happy with them. Some of them work better than others, but yeah, these two that we've got this year look like they're going to last hopefully for multiple years. We'll see. We got this guy here. It's supposed to be Daffodinia. Daffodinia? I think it is, but it looks more like it's sort of like some sort of periwinkle. This green one here. It's kind of spreading everywhere, so I'm not too sure if we're going to keep that or what I'm going to do. It's got some nice red flowers on the end. He's kind of growing through this begonia here. Yeah, anyone knows what that one is, let me know, because I think it was labeled wrong. Our irises are doing pretty good. They're a little bit beat after the summer, but they're holding in there. Probably next year or the year after, I'm going to split them all. And I'm going to put them around, so we get some time around the other side of the greenhouse. But I'm kind of waiting till we get the greenhouse repaired, so it depends what summer I decide to do that. It'll be a full summer just destroying this whole greenhouse. Got to take all the glass out, got to redo the floor, got to paint it all, got to do a lime mortaring all the bottom and clean up all the stonework and straighten it out. So it's a full summer job to do for sure. Our daylilies over here do really well every year. They'll die in the winter and then next spring they'll be back, and I give them a little fertilizer now and they're happy as can be. We've had a very successful season for the hedges, the boxwoods. Somehow, I don't know how. I might be jinxing it by saying it, but we haven't had any boxwood caterpillars or moths or whatever it is. I'm watering them quite well. Just by the sprinklers, do a good job of it. And also I fertilize them probably every 1 to 2 weeks. So they've been growing like crazy, considering how rough they were when we first started working on the garden. We've got a little section in that circle to do. You can see the big dip left, but that was, even a year ago, that was just kind of twigs in that space. So I took a kind of a tripod with a string on it, and I measured around to get the circle, the circumference, inner and outer circumference is the same, and then I put a little bolt in the ground to kind of mark a position for where it is. And then next summer I'll do the same thing, just trying to keep it circular. This one is probably another year away from these two that go towards the greenhouse, another year away from getting sorted. Just letting them kind of fill in a bit. I'm going to do another trimming today. And but this is just basically a week and a half, all that new growth. They were quite square before. I'm not being fussy with it because I don't want to cut it too short, because I want to encourage the growth. So anyways, we're getting there. We will have hedges. You can see the grass did pretty good this year, even under this tree. We're finally starting to get some filling in. We got a little bit under the loquat tree that needs to get sorted. And we have some more on the front of this edge over here in front of kind of the large tree. That's a really tough area. But the soil is so horrible there. It's just like, it's almost like concrete, even though I water it. Sometimes I water it twice a day, just for, 5 minutes. I should be watering longer, I know, but it's just, it helps it get through the day because it gets so hot here. But yeah, pretty successful with the grass this year. I don't really use any weed killer during the summer. I just do it in the spring. And what I use is a vinegar. And I just kill off all the grass that's still alive in the spring. And that's kind of your annual grasses or kind of cool season grasses. Because we'll have little bits here, or I just pull it out by hand. Sometimes I do that, wander around in the morning while I'm waking up, just grab some weeds in my hand or pull up some kind of the wrong kind of grass to encourage the Bermuda grass to grow. So yeah, we're getting there. The fountain worked really well all summer. It didn't get plugged up or anything. We got the filter there, which I just kind of clean out once in a while, and we scoop it. We have a little vacuum that sucks up all the dust from the Sahara Desert. It's a little low right now because I'm letting it kind of just run itself out. Because it doesn't really run. It doesn't run itself out. It actually lasts a long time. It's just that it evaporates and the wind blows. So when the wind blows and I've got it too high, like that fountain spray will be much higher than that. But I just leave it low. And it costs about, about 5 to 10 watts to run this at this level, which is almost nothing. So I have it come in an hour after sunrise and go off an hour before. So it works with the solar panels. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of staining, and some of it at the bottom and the paint is wearing off. A little bit of rust coming in some of the spots over there, especially where that overflow drain is. The pipe that goes up, you can see the rust there, and there's a weird rust spot over there, kind of in the middle near the front of the screen or center of the screen. But otherwise, it's lasted pretty well. No leaking that we can see. And it's been, 3 years now? I think it just needs another paint. So the paint we put on there was really expensive. We're going to try a lower kind of quality paint since we've got a good base on there. So it can be epoxy paint, and either we do it this year or maybe in the spring. But in a week or two, I'm going to basically drain it and put that cover that I made over there with all the pieces of wood that make a pyramid in the center. So I did that last year. It was quite successful, keeping water out all winter. And it was pretty much bone dry when I opened it up in the spring. So it's working well. All of my concrete work has lasted really well. There's anywhere I've put in a forced crack, it's not even moved at all, I don't think. There's maybe one little section over here, which I was kind of worried about, where the chair is, that's maybe moved. Maybe a little bit of a bump, but not much more, certainly not even more than like 2 or 3 millimeters. So all of this, because I built it so strong, I don't think it's ever going anywhere. It'll be good to I can just tile over this with our travertine tiles when we get there, and we'll sort all that out. Maybe in a couple of years from now when we get a little extra money. Catio's working well. Cats still love it. Needs a little cleanup. There's a bit of weeds in there now. But you can see Steve in here, and he's likes watching some, I think it's like a butterfly or bugs or something. They're all buzzing around above them, so yeah, I think it works well. Well, we've also planted these Cornelia, I think they're called, Varia or something like that. And I think they're called purple crown vetch. No, what are they called? Purple crown vetch. They didn't do anything for the first 2 years. They just kind of teeny little sticks stuck in the ground. what's happened to them this year, I have no idea. I've cut these things down maybe 5 or 6 times to about a third of their size, and they just explode. You can see there's a poor begonia in here. Another thing they do is they put these little seeds out, tiny little seeds, and it's spreading everywhere. So we're going to basically get a couple pots, and we're going to dig the main portion of them up. I'm going to put them in the pots and see if they live. Don't like to kill plants, but they're so invasive that they'll just take over everything, and we don't really want that, obviously. So they have a little pink flower on them, kind of nice, but they haven't flowered much this summer. It's in the new shoots that they kind of do it. I don't know if they'll do it in the fall or not, but they seem to do it kind of in the spring till about June. I've seen one flower somewhere on it, but yeah, it's just so out of control. Like literally, this is 2 weeks, and it was a third of the size. I just take hedge trimmers with it, knock it right back, and keep yanking out all these runners, so the roots go underneath and they pop up new ones. So I'm gonna have to really be a bit brutal with them. Then we'll put them in pots, and we'll put this somewhere away from the garden so they can't spread. Maybe at the edges of the pool or something like that. We'll put little drippers in them, and if they live, they live. They're probably not meant for pots, but they're just too much. We're not gonna take care of them. Anyways, yeah, just a crazy plant. Never even seen them before, but they're here. And they love this area, and they love full sun, I'll tell you that right now. It's just crazy. Or some of our friends, Finnish friends, gave us some of these kind of random cabbages, I guess. They're kind of flowering cabbages. They've done very well also. They lasted from last year, so they just keep coming up again. They kind of die back a little bit in the winter, and then they kind of shoot back up to a good size. They've done well. You can see one of these begonias here. When it gets too hot, the stems kind of die back on them. But just from the last week or so, all this new growth has happened on it. I thought it was almost dead. I didn't think it was dead, but it looked like pretty rough. But because he gets so much sun, he's such an exposed area, he's not done as good as you'd hope. This little guy here was what was a Ben Hope. I'm not sure what it was, but it's a lovely little plant. Had little flowers on it. It didn't make it this year. There's another one on the other side that was doing really badly last year. It was one of those twig. This one was doing great this year, and it's just died off. So I'll leave it till the spring. Maybe something's going to pop up, but I don't think so. It's just too dead. Yeah, a little bit depressing. Quite a lot of plants have died this year. But what can you do, right? You learn what lives where and what doesn't. This is meant for full sun, I believe. So that's why we put it there. Anyways, maybe we'll get another one. We'll see. The roses this year, we had a real tough time with it. This little guy here, he was down to almost twigs, literally 2 weeks ago. I was like, I don't know if he's going to make it. So now that the temperature's dropped, it's keeping the water. It's just gone crazy with little roses. This is 2 days worth of roses. All these dead ones on here. So he's super happy again. He's starting to get his leaves back. So we're lucky he's going to be fine. He's supposed to be orange flowers. Didn't really turn that orange. A little disappointed by that, but it's okay. Hopefully when it gets a little healthier, it'll get a little more color in it. We're hoping we can get that to climb all the way up and spread it over the arbor. This is a springtime rose that always seems to have mold issues on it. Gets watered a lot, but I think just under stress. Hopefully as it gets a bit bigger, it'll do better. It gets sort of a purpley flower in the spring. It's getting there. It's the biggest one so far, considering it's one of the youngest ones. This rose is kind of one of our favorite roses. There's a good pink on it, lovely color. Tons of flower all year, and it doesn't get a lot of diseases. It's just not really grown much this year. So hopefully we'll get it going a little bit bigger next year. This rose here over by the circle with the hedge on it is finally picking up. It's got a nice little flower on it finally. He has trouble every year, but now that he's kind of gone above the hedge above the hedge here, it's another like meter high, he's now starting to finally take off. So he's probably doubled in the last month, or at least a third more in the last month, which is great. I think it wasn't getting enough sun. So hopefully this time next year, we'll be looking at it up on the top of this where it gets a lot more sun and it'll be a lot happier. My favorite rose, this red here, he is has also been suffering this summer. It was just way too hot for it in the sun. Yeah, what can I say? He's getting leaves back again. He's growing, but he kind of does it every year. Like he does really well till around June or July, kind of end of July. When it starts getting into the 40s, it kind of dries back a bit. So it's still getting bigger. It's still growing. It's just, I'm hoping that eventually it'll get big enough to sort of self-shade itself, or I don't know, something, but may not. But happy where it is right now. One thing we're going to be looking at doing is, other than getting rid of the weeds, and grass, is we're going to be thinking of replacing, instead of using impatiens around it because it gets so much sun, at least I think that's what it is. If anyone knows what is causing all the leaves and all this stuff to die on these impatiens, let me know. I thought initially it was because I was burying them too low or something. I think maybe because they're on a hill, maybe they're getting too much water. I don't know. They're almost like they're rotting off at the ends. So I don't know, but then they're not quite dead. Like, you know, another few months of this weather, when it's cooler, and they do fine. So I'm guessing, you know, they get too hot during the day, but it's just strange that it's on the north side, because these ones that have died are on the north side, and the ones that are doing not too bad are on the south side. And they get way more sun, but I guess it's, I don't know, it's just strange to me. Anyways, I gotta weed this shortly. This year we had a really, really good result with our rose Sharons here. Of course, unfortunately, they're two of the same color and two of the same color. Maybe one year I'll change them around, but I doubt it. But yeah, it did really well. They're just starting to lose a bit of color now. I don't know if these ones are not getting enough water, but once again, I'm watering them just as much as the other ones. I just think maybe there's not enough coming out, but they're doing all right. It's probably our best year. Remember, they're just decimated by aphids, but in the spring I sprayed them with some, you know, environmentally friendly, still kills the bugs, and it really took care of them pretty good. So I just keep doing that every year. Hopefully we'll continue to have good growth. I'm gonna chop them all back down again this fall. And yeah, I guess in a few weeks, we'll see. When it gets a bit colder, they lose their leaves. We tend to have a real mixed bag with impatiens. They do really, really well in the shade. But when they're sort of in a mixed area like this, like during the afternoon, they don't get much sun. Those are under these roses of Sharon, but they're still not doing as good. I think possibly over here it's because they're on a slope, and when I do the drippers and the watering, they kind of get dried out by around 1 o'clock, and then they kind of full back out again after I water them. But yeah, they're doing okay. It's not great. So we're going to be considering whether we do them around the rose bush next year, whether we put them in this section under the rose of Sharons. But they definitely do very well over by the wall over there behind the pool and under the arbor. They're huge, they're massive. And there's a couple right near the back door that are, you know, what I would expect in North America when you see them, or the impatiens. Apparently geraniums, the ones that are kind of annuals in North America, come up every year. So this one here is not exactly a good one. It looks like it's getting eaten by something. Probably slugs or snails or something. But, and he's also buried under this begonia here. So what I'm going to do is move him around and move this other begonia around or something and try to get it a little better position so they do better next year. I just didn't expect them to grow quite so big so quickly. The begonias also, they come up just about every year. Apparently, unless there's a really, really big kind of freeze where it gets like -10 for like during the day and they don't have a time to warm up during the day, they actually die back. But in the spring, like, so they'll go to basically just twigs, like almost like thin bits of straw and on the stems, and you chop them down. And then I did that this spring, and they all grew back up. So they're almost sort of like a recurring free plant. So we'll see if we can continue to do it again this year. But overall, we're really happy with the begonias. They're coming up and coming up, which is good because, you know, it's expensive to buy plants all the time. These sort of standard geraniums, they have little blue flowers on them in the spring. They don't flower all summer. I'm not sure if they're supposed to, but they're a bit of greenery anyways back here. They did pretty well this year. We lost one fuchsia back here. I don't know why. It was actually getting watered. I don't know, maybe planted it too low or something like that. But yeah, he's just kind of twigs now, which is unfortunate because he was doing really well. Anyways, I just thought you guys would like to take a little look, or at least some people are interested in the garden and how it's doing. So yeah, it's been a good year. Not a great year. Grass has done amazing. Plants, not so much. Trees are doing okay. But yeah, it's getting there. Get some tiles down, get this concrete covered up. Another couple years, we'll be all set. It'll look amazing. Anyways, thanks for watching, and give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Cheers.